What's up everyone, welcome back to the shed. My name is John McGrath, this is my YouTube channel Man in Shed, and this is part 9 of this custom guitar build. Now, we had just prepared our neck blank and cut it out, so today I want to do the headstock. I want to get that cut out, shaped, and get our tuning heads pre-drilled. I also want to look at the fretboard, so are we going to use this piece of cherry or aren't we? So what we're going to do today is use some of this Crimson Guitars Stunning Stains. It's a black dye, so I'm going to put the black dye into this piece of cherry. We're going to sand it back and see if we can bring out some of that figure in the grain. And possibly this will be used for our fretboard with some copper inlays. Yeah, so we're going to get on that. Now it's another beautiful day here in Ireland. So the shed once again is like an oven, so how long I can spend in here today I'm not sure, but we'll get as much done as we can. So let's get you in and get you a close look at this headstock. And let's get cracking. Okay, so here's our headstock design, guys. I've already transferred it over onto our headstock blank using some grease-proof paper, the same process as I used for building our wings. You can check that back out in, I think it was episode 7. So yeah, we have our tuning heads marked out here, and we know exactly where they're going to go. We've achieved a straight pull through our nut, which is ideal, which is what we want. It helps with tuning stability. It's a very simple process. So I have my nut here. I just marked out where my strings pass through my nut, where each of the notches are for my strings. Mark that out along your nut line here. Take your verniers or a ruler, whichever, any way of measuring it you have. Come off your center line to my high E string. And just bring that out. And where it intersects with this line, that's where my tuning peg is going to go. And again, same with this one, straight out from the B string, where it intersects, that's where my tuning head goes. And again, we can do the same for the G string, out to here, and so on from the other side. That gives me a straight line then out to my tuning heads. And this line that I've marked here just runs parallel with the outside of our headstock. Okay, I've just come 15mm in from my headstock to allow myself enough to drill a 10mm hole for my tuning heads. And then we just intersect the lines straight out, running parallel with our center line. So you can see again, our center line comes into play again, and we can just base all our measurements off that. So hopefully that makes sense for you. Now we're going to take this thing to the bandsaw. We're going to get it rough cut out. We're going to start shaping it. Then it's our fretboard. So we're going to dye this, let the dye dry, sand it back and see if we can bring out some of this figure, and then we'll decide which part of this looks the best and which part will look the best with copper inlays, and we will use this then for our fretboard. Alright, let's get on it. Right, here's our headstock. We're going to run this through our bandsaw now. Obviously it's a full length body blank and neck blank, so I'm caught for space as to which way I can turn this, so I just have to work my way through it. Nice and easy, and we might have to come from several different angles just to get it out as close as we can to these lines. So we'll take our time and we'll run this through the bandsaw and we'll figure it out as I go. Alright, it's going to be a bit of noise now, so I'll put you guys probably with a bit of music and a bit of fast forward. There we go, we have our basic headstock shape cut out now, so we're just going to take this to the spindle sander and just finish off these curves, just to shape them a little bit closer to our finished position, and we'll run our plane along our straight edge here. Alright, let's do that. Right, so similar process to what we've done on our wings. We'll just rough shape this to our final curves, just work this a bit, get it as close as we can, and yeah, then we'll do the final sanding and adjusting by hand. But cracking little machine this. I did a review on it. I highly recommend it, so if you're in the market for a spindle sander, definitely check out the Triton. Let's get on it. Guys, that's our headstock roughly shaped. Obviously we've got days of shaping and sanding ahead of us, but you can see it's starting to take shape there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to pre-drill my tuning heads, and I also want to drill through my hole for my access through my truss rod. So that's the next thing we're going to do. So just get a waste bit of timber to sit underneath him, and then we're just going to pre-drill him. Actually, I think I'm going to go with the steel bits. 3 mil I think should be fine. So maybe that's better, so you can see what we're doing. Right, now we want our hole for our truss rod. Now, really what I should have here is a longer bit so I can keep my drill back out here, but I haven't got it. So we're going to take this nice and easy. Okay, let me get some Allen keys and we'll test this out. Right, there we go. We have access to our truss rod. That's working nicely. Obviously, because I hadn't got a long straight bit, I had to go with a slight angle and just foil the back of the hole up a small bit, just so we can get our Allen wrench or Allen key straight in our truss rod. That's working perfectly now, so happy days. Right, so that's our headstock. Cut out, roughly shaped. Just a small bit of sanding done on it. Obviously we've a lot more sanding and shaping to go. We've days of sanding and shaping to go. But you can see it's starting to look nice now. We can take this off and we can begin to sand this bit back. So we'll do that, and then we'll get onto this fretboard staining. Okay, let's do that. Okay, here's our neck blank, guys. It's a piece of cherry, and there's a nice bit of grain in it, a nice bit of figure in it. So we should get a neck blank out of this somewhere. But what I want to do first is I'm going to stain it with black. Then I'm going to sand it back, and just to see if we can get this grain to pop a bit more. It might be an interesting design pattern on our fingerboard. So with the copper inlay. So what we're going to use is Crimson Guitar Stunning Stains. Now I've used these before. It's a fantastic product. I used it on my custom strap build. Actually, I'll roll in some pictures of it now. Have a look at this and see what you think. There you go. So as you can see, what you can achieve with just 2 stains is pretty amazing. They're very easy to use. So let's jump in now, and we're going to put the black into this. I'll give you a quick demonstration of how to do it. We're just going to glove up. It's fairly forgiving, this stuff too. You know, you can build it up. Only so much of it will soak into the wood because obviously it's a dye. So the wood will only accept a certain amount. But you can fade it, you can sand it back. If you put too much in one area, you can sand it out, you can wipe it off. You know, it's just really easy and nice to use. It's a much more simple process than actually painting a guitar. And I think if you really have a good, highly figured piece of wood, then dyes are the way to go. You don't want to paint over your wood, especially if it looks good, you know. So all we need now is some kitchen towel. That's what I'm going to use. and a little of this goes a hell of a long way. So I use this on to do an entire guitar, and there's only a bit coming out of the bottle, so you know it's pretty good. So let's do this. I think we'll blacken this whole piece from start to finish, and let it dry. We'll come back and we'll start sanding it back, and we'll have a look at what we're going to get. So we'll just get some onto our rag here. Right guys, that's going to be our neck bank. I know it looks a little bit extreme now, it's completely black, but don't worry, we're going to work this back now. Like I say, dye is pretty forgiving, and even if we take just a clean cloth, you can begin to start to pull some of that out of it already. So I'm just going to give it a light rub over just before it dries, just to pull off the excess. And you can see I'm starting to pull it out already. And that's just by wiping it with this. So hopefully we should begin to see an interesting grain pattern come through, and yeah, it should look good. Fingers crossed. If not, we can always get an ebony board or a rosewood board or something like that, but hopefully this will be a nice piece of black cherry when we're finished with an interesting grain pattern through it. So let's let that dry and we'll come back to it. Right, so we've let this dry for a bit now. It didn't take too long. It's fairly hot in the shade. So we're just going to sand it back and see what we can get out of it. Just a bit of 120 grit sandpaper, and yeah, it's just a case of sand it now and see what happens. That didn't quite work out as I hoped. It didn't stay in the grain. I probably should have sanded it first. There's a lot of tool marks left from the planer thicknesser. So as you can see here, that ripple effect. So what I might do is reapply it. This part is sanded smooth now, and just see if we can bring out that grain a little bit more. I'm going to work it. I'm going to work it in a little bit more with the rag, and then I'm going to see if I can wipe it off before it dries and see if we can do something that way. Now this may or may not work, but it's all experimentation, so that's what it's all about. So let me just get some new gloves and we'll do that. Okay, so let's reapply some of this and see how we get on. I mightn't go as heavy this time. So let's see. I might try spread it out a bit more. Right, can you see that? Let's get this up. So, get the camera to focus on that. It's a little bit more interesting of a grain pattern. So I think what we'll do now is clean this up, and I'm going to apply one coat of oil to it just to see how it's going to look with the oil on it. And again, we will have to resand all this and shape it, but if I think this is going to work, what I'll do is I'll then radius this board, and we can cut our fret slots in it. So let's do that. Let's do that. Right, so I have some Crimson Guitars finishing oil. Now this will interact with the dye again, and we can use this to spread it a bit more. But let's just put some oil on this and see what it's going to look like. And I think it might just work. Go right. Let's just have a look at this. Hopefully you can see that come alive. that's what I had in mind. And obviously it's not the finished article yet. The oil just brings out the grain a bit more. So let's just get a bit more of that on. Now, so that should give you a good idea of the fretboard. Now, I want to... Well, I just went and got a bit of copper. Drop it on the floor. Just to show you what copper would look like on that. So just imagine copper inlays. As this is our fretboard. So we might do copper squares all the way down. But yeah, I think that's going to be visually interesting. And it will break up the guitar a bit. Now we can decide whether or not to put copper in the headstock as well. I might overlay the copper, although I quite like the two stripes heading through the headstock, so that's something we can decide on later. But yeah, I think this is going to work, guys. I think that's going to work. Right guys, I think we're going to get out of this shed now because it's bloody hot, so we'll end it there. The headstock is shaped and cut out. I think it looks quite well. I know I was going to copper plate this, but the two sapili stripes kind of look nice, so yeah, let me know in the comments to copper or not to copper, and we'll make a decision then. As for our fretboard, this will need to be radiused, so it'll be sanded back some more, so a lot of this black will go and hopefully we get more of the grain out of it. It'll look quite well with the copper, I think. When we get to that stage, then we can make a decision on whether we want to use this or not. So that will probably be in the next video. Now I realise in this video you might have been looking at the back of my head for some of the shots. It's just where I had the camera and I didn't realise. I can't redo the work, so forgive me on that one. We will do better in the future. But for now, I'm John McGrath. This is my YouTube channel, Man in Shed, and I gotta get out of here because it's hot as hell. See you in the next one.